You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for our Champions Trophy preview. The Champions Trophy tournament.
Are you going to write the theme tune,
excited.
sing the theme tune? Are you there, Jack?
I'm so excited about that. I can't even remember the fucking name. Yes, this is the Cricket Podcast. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg. Are you excited about the Champions Trophy, Ross?
I am. It's the best of the best, isn't it? So and Bangladesh. So yeah, it's going to be very exciting to watch.
And no, I am actually looking forward to it. What tripped me up, Max, was that on our YouTube overlay it says ICC Champions Trophy. No, I don't think anyone's ever going to call it the ICC Champions Trophy, but I was reading it as I was trying to introduce the show.
Right.
So, after I committed to the I was like, oh, maybe I should have done the ICC. So I combined the I and the A into an O. Are you excited about the ICC Champions Trophy preview Group A? Can be.
Absolutely, Jack. I think it's important that we clarify that it is the ICC Champions Trophy and not the BCCI Champions Trophy. So, I mean, that's
get an early punch in there, Max. Get
come on, let's get the politics in.
Classic Max. He hates India. Like ever since Barney bought Surrey. Not all of them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Right, yeah, that's right. We're going to be doing a Champions Trophy preview. We're going to be talking through all 8 teams, doing them group by group, starting with Group A, moving on to Group B a little bit later in the show. We'll be talking about key players, notable absences, maybe best 11s. What are the chances of each team? Who's going to win the whole thing? And what kind of hat best represents each team?
Nice.
My hat knowledge, I think, was re-established at the end of the last podcast. I thought it would be all right. It isn't, but it's better now. It is better now, and perhaps somewhere down the road that would be usable information. But
did you say perhaps?
Perhaps.
Should have.
Yes.
Shouldn't he? Yeah.
Come on, boys. Let's do a podcast. We'll start with Group A, as I said. Why don't we start with the big boys? Yeah, we'll hit the target market first. The guys that Max loves to hate. India.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. No, India. Ross, talk us through India. What's going on with them as they go into this Champions Trophy? Presumably, this is just going to be a cakewalk for them and there's nothing to worry about. So that'll take you a couple of minutes to get through, right?
Yeah, something like that. Well, they are the reigning T20 world champions. They're runners-up in the ODI World Cup, and they are 2-time Champions Trophy winners. So there's some real pedigree here. They have just smashed England to bits, and by smashed, we mean smashed. Like the highlights of those matches could be uploaded to Pornhub, and it wouldn't be out of place. Or those are like the printed edition, middle page spread on Playboy. We've got to cater to all ages on this podcast. There is no space. There is no space for Jaiswal in the team or the squad. Bumrah is out, and that is a huge blow for them, as he pretty much carries India on his back on the bowling front quite a lot of the time. And there's going to be a big decision on who has the gloves. So on the last podcast, KL Rahul, a slight bit of criticism around his glove work, but Pant is back in the squad, but has a bit of a lack of playing time, gents. The kit that they're going for, you know exactly what it is. It's the sky blue, bit of orange in there, bit of white in there, the usual ensemble. Yes, Jack.
How close is it to the Real Madrid kit this time round?
I can't say I've seen the Real Madrid kit, so I can't actually comment. May pretty reasonably close, probably.
Okay, cool.
Right. Reasonably, you can't be like Christy. Yeah, it's too far. From the 11 perspective, they've got some big decisions, guys, and I would like your opinion on this. Like KL Rahul or Pant, because if you think of their starting 11, Rohit opening up. Shubman Gill, obviously, Jack saying he's the best ODI player in the world right now on the last show. Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer at 4, then KL Rahul at 5, Hardik Pandya at 6. That's 6 back-to-back right-handers. You've then got Akshar, who's been a bit of a floating resource for them recently, who provides that left-handedness. Jadeja, Kuldeep, and then probably Harshit Rana, Arshdeep, and Mohammad Shami battling it out. and that's difficult. I think Pant has to come back into that 11. And it's going to be at the expense of either Shreyas Iyer or KL Rahul. Do you agree with me on that one, or am I a bit far away?
I disagree. I think they'll stick with the 5 right-handers and Akshar Patel floating around. And I don't think there's many teams in the world that are going to threaten that massively. I think that fundamentally, and they're probably right about this, India think that Iyer and KL Rahul are better ODI batters than Rishabh Pant is. And they're happy to forego the wicket-keeping talent to play the pair of them.
Fair.
How about you, Max? You have to take the other side of that now.
Yeah, well, no, I agree. I agree with you in the sense that I think that's what India think, and that's what they'll do. I would rather have Rishabh Pant in there because there's enough stability in that batting lineup with Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer. That's fine. You've got your solid middle order, middle overs, knock it around. Like, you've got some of the best players in the world at the moment doing that. What do you need? You need just that little bit of sparkle, a little bit of extra for the last 10 overs, say. Rishabh Pant, he's your man. I want Rishabh Pant in there.
Yeah, but it'll be the difference between hitting 320 to hitting 400, maybe, Max. And in this World Cup, that could be this World Cup, this Champions Trophy could be very important. The other side of the coin is bowling wise. So I'm going to phrase this a little bit delicately, I think, because India have done what they did at the last tournament, and they have inadvertently picked where they get to play cricket for the next all of the games. So they know exactly where they're playing. They're playing in Dubai. They're going to do that the whole tournament. The finals even in Dubai. So
assuming they get there, of course.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit cheeky of them, I think. But let's be fair, like, Dubai is not the easiest place in the world to play cricket. We saw in the edition of the IPL a couple of years ago that it is heavy dew factor there. And the toss is so important. And that's a 50-50. Like, they got the BCCI, Max, much as you said earlier, they can't fake a 50-50. So the opposition does have a chance against them, and Dubai is a good leveler for that. However, their squad is pretty much geared up to play just at Dubai. There's no tombstones about it. They've got one thing in mind. They've even picked Washington Sundar just as a mascot, I can imagine. But if they really need him to bowl off spin, they can. They're coming up against a team with a few left-handers. And it makes it a little bit tricky. But I think that means that there's going to be more spin on offer here. So I think they're unlikely to play Shami and Harshit in every single game, especially if they've got Hardik around. I won't be surprised if they end up picking Kuldeep and Chakravarti at least one of the games to go with Jadeja and then potentially Washington, Sundar, Akshar. So it's a pretty nice team they've got here, for perfectly honest. Obviously, Bumrah being out is not great for them, but they've got at least 300 to 360 runs pretty much every game with that batting lineup, and they've got 40-50 overs of what is pretty world-class bowling. Like, it's a pretty formidable team. Yeah. So hat-wise, we go to hat, unless you've got any comments on their team.
What are their odds of winning the tournament?
They are outright favourites.
Yeah,
like 2-1 or something, isn't it?
I saw they were 2-1 or shorter. So what's that? That's like a 1 in 3 chance. That's probably about right, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think relative to all the other teams in the world, India are. Well, look, 1, the playing talent is clearly better. 2, they seem to take ODI cricket more seriously and still actively think about it from a strategy perspective. Whereas I think there are we'll get to a few of the teams later in the tournament, cough England, where like ODI cricket seems to just be like a complete afterthought, right? Mm-hmm. India there are guys in this team, 3 guys I think, aren't there, in this team? Sharma, Rohit, Kohli, and Jadeja, who have retired from T20 cricket now, and they're literally hanging around for this, presumably. maybe the next World Cup, maybe they're gonna have another go at that. Like there's still ambition to be good at ODI cricket from some of the players, to the extent that they're giving up the more popular format from a global perspective to focus on ODI. Before I completely confirm that Kohli has retired from T20 cricket, hasn't he? I haven't gone mad there internationally.
Yeah, we're going to say yes because
okay,
I thought he had. Yeah.
No, it just occurred to me that maybe he hadn't, and then you don't want to get anything wrong.
Maybe we did retire him as well.
Well, look, he should be retired, right? And I think that will come to bear. I think the fact that the players are really, really good, and the fact that they are thinking about how to win ODI cricket, and the fact that they actually want to win, and just beyond the blokes who are going to turn up on the day, there's people thinking about how to make a team that functions. Means they're the massive favourites in this comp. But then Ross, you did allude to the 8,000-ton white elephant in the room that they've picked. They're going to play all their matches, which
it wouldn't matter. This is the thing, right? It wouldn't matter though. Do you know what I mean? We said it before.
No, right? They
don't have to gear it into their favour anymore. But you just don't, like Jay Shah with his blue steel poses literally needs to kind of just be like, nah, we're not going to Pakistan. Political reasons. This is like, right, okay, fine. Look,
they're good. They're going to win it. Probably.
It's their tournament to lose. That's how we need to play this. Like they are outright favourites for this compared to everybody else. Hats wise, therefore, gentlemen, I think it's quite obvious. It's the top hat. It fits the expectations of the team. Like if you're not, you can't wear one if you're a total loser, right? And India are certainly not a loser. You wear it on an important day, typically, and every game in Indian cricket, very important.
It's an important day.
Yeah. Plus, the Monopoly man has it, and India has a clear monopoly over world cricket. And they also love money, so there we go.
Yeah.
The only drawback I could think against Melbourne is it has a
limited aerodynamics.
Well, but it has slight colonial vibes, but that fits the bill too. So literally an all-rounder. I think it's a full hat, 10 out of 10, top hat for India.
It's a top choice.
Fair. I think that's that is a fair comment. Cool. Who's the next team we're doing in this group? Max, I'm going to say go to you because I do have the list of who's doing what, but I didn't copy it into my notes page, so I haven't got it in front of me.
Is it the Kiwis?
Yeah. Well, Pakistan or New Zealand. They're your options.
Oh, I will do Pakistan. Do Pakistan.
All right. Come on. Pakistan. Over to me. Pakistan, the defending champions of the ICC Champions Trophy. Remember that? Back in 2017, England and Wales hosting. We'll just forget what happened.
I must admit, I genuinely don't remember.
To the side. It was 8 years ago. Pakistan won. Can you believe it?
Bumrah bowled a no ball, didn't he? And he got someone out, and it didn't count because obviously it was a no ball, and that meant Pakistan won.
Ah, right. Sorry, Max.
Yeah.
No, all good. So, here we are, Pakistan, the hosts in inverted commas of this edition of the Champions Trophy. They've obviously spun the wheel of fortune in terms of who's captaining and coaching their side, and this time round, we've got Mohammad Rizwan leading the side out, and Aqib Javed is the interim white ball coach. Don't know how long for. Probably until the end of this tournament, until they move on.
Well, wouldn't guarantee it.
When are they playing India? They've got India in their second game, so that's Sunday the 23rd. That's the date in the diary.
Put that in your diary. Yes,
Akab needs to set up his Indeed
an away fixture for Pakistan in their own tournament against India in Dubai. So there are some fitness issues around the biggest teams in the tournament. Pakistan mostly all right, but they did suffer the misfortune of Haris Ralph picking up a side strain in the tri series that they had with South Africa and New Zealand in advance of this tournament. Apparently, he has a muscular sprain in his chest wall, but they think he'll be fine to play in the Champions Trophy. Mohammad Amir's come out and said, bullshit, that takes about 6 weeks to heal. And
Dr. Mohammed Amir, right? Okay.
we've already got internal mutterings within Pakistan. We haven't even got to the tournament yet. For the record, I'd probably side with Mohammed Amir on this one. I don't think side strains tend to heal in about 10 days, so we'll see what happens. If Harris Ralph is out, then it'll be probably Mohammed Hasnain will come in to replace him in the side. He's in the squad. He bowls quite fast, but did get banned for chucking a few years ago, and played for the Oval Invincibles in the 100 and was fairly bad. Was that the point you were about to raise there, Jack? I saw you had a hand.
I was asking, was he the guy who chucked it? Also,
He is indeed. Yes.
Surely slide strains are like other muscle injuries, and there's grades of strain. Because 10 days is about what they say for. I can't remember if it's a 3 or a 1.
Yeah,
the good type of strain to have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I've
given you all the information I've managed to find on this particular matter.
I'm going to war with Mohammed Amir. I want a war of words with them.
I'll tell you what, he's probably interested in having a bet on how long Harris Ralph would be out, so you could get him on that one.
There we go.
Oh,
good.
There we are.
Yeah. So look, I mean, apart from that, fitness-wise, Pakistan not too bad. So they will, if Harris Ralph isn't available, even if Harris Ralph is available, they will be relying rather heavily on Shaheen Shah Afridi, who's back and looking a bit better than he has done in the last few years, and Naseem Shah, who is fast and exciting. But when was the last time you can remember Pakistan having Shaheen and Naseem and Harris Ralph all fit and firing and bowling well at the same time? Because like those three are potentially so good and such a dangerous attack, and fast bowling actually seems to be the best performing in ODIs in Pakistan in recent times. Like the bowling averages and economy rates for fast bowling are lower than other types of bowling, better than spin, although that was before they got all the fans out. So we'll see what actually happens with the pitches. But that's a really crucial and exciting trio to have. But I just can't remember the last time they all bowled properly together at the same time. Maybe this is it. Maybe the defense of the Champions Trophy will be the time. They'll be looking for them to come to the fore. And batting wise, I mean, it's the same old tale, isn't it? Rizwan and Baba, the key people to be holding their innings together. Although it was Salman Agha who was the hero in their recent big chase against Africa in the Tri-Series, and their warm-ups, see it blistering 130 and a chase of about 370. Who thought that Pakistan even had that in their locker? So, I mean, there's potential there. But as we know with Pakistan, there's potential there. They then went into the final of the Tri-Series and were bowled out for 240 odd and lost really comfortably against New Zealand, who are in their group.
Max, I've got a
it's
question.
Pakistan all over. Yeah.
What's Azam Khan doing? Is he in the team? Is he in the squad? Where's he fielding?
Khan, you'll be pleased to know that Azam Khan is not in the squad.
I'm not pleased. I'm not pleased by that.
He could barely manage 20 overs. Couldn't you imagine him out there for 50? Come on, let's be serious. It's a fair question to ask, right? Because Pakistan, as has been the case for the last few years, it's been that bowling attack which kind of picks it itself, the pace bowling attack. Rizwan, Babar Azam, probably Fakhar Zaman opening the batting, and then a merry-go-round of whoever else happens to be around. You got, like I said, Salman Ali Agha, who's playing quite well at the moment. Kristal Shah came in that test series, didn't he, against when England toured, and looked pretty good. He's in the side. Saud Shakil is still there, and then it's just whoever happens to be not on the chopping block at any given time picks up the other places. And they've gone with just one real frontline spinner as well in this side with Abra Ahmed, who is good when he wears glasses and bad when he doesn't, as far as I can tell, when it comes to this Pakistan side. But that's quite an interesting interesting pick, which might lead us to think about whether we do see more of the traditional Pakistan pitches in this tournament, because that is just the one frontline spinner they've gone with. They've got options as part-timers, but none of them are, that it almost reminds me of makes me think of the way that the England bowling lineup is going to be structured, in the sense that you've got all this pace, one leg spinner, and then some bits and pieces. Kind of, maybe that's a bit harsh, but it is a bit like bits and pieces spinners to fill in the gaps. So it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. But I'm hoping to see fireworks, but we will see. Where are you guys sat on the Pakistan lineup? Are you excited to see what they're going to come up with, or is it the usual nonsense from Pakistan?
No, I am excited. How's the batting order work? Do they just sort of bat till about 6 and then that's it?
Pretty much.
I'm a little bit confused there. Did I mind to just drop out for a moment?
You don't need anyone else, though. You don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, they'll face all the balls.
They will bat 40 overs between them.
And Agar is the insurance policy. They don't need anything else.
I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean about the merry-go-round with Pakistan. It's the same people that they're relying on to do everything, and then some people come in, have a couple of good games, fall out the side, and you can't really rely on much else. And it's it's that kind of like how much ODI cricket do they play, filling in the gaps with whoever happens to play well in whatever tournament, whatever T20 tour they've been doing, or test tour. And it's going to be interesting. But I think it'll be the usual kind of thing from Pakistan, right? Try and keep their opposition to a reasonably manageable score, and hope that Rizwan or Baba score 100 and get them into a position where they can.
Well, they've pretty much got a semi. Yeah, they've kind of got a quarter final, haven't they? First game of the tournament, so
against New Zealand. Yeah, it is a bit like that. And that
lost twice in the last week.
Yeah, basically, takes us nicely onto the chances they've got, Ross. Because I mean, let's face it. Like we'll put Bangladesh to one side. They're going to lose every game if the rules of physics are to be followed in this particular tournament. And then it is a case of, can you beat New Zealand? Because let's assume India win every game. They probably will. That first game is massive for Pakistan, and that is where it will all fall down. I just don't back them. Like you said, they lost to New Zealand twice in the warm-ups. New Zealand, proper, solid workmanlike side, and I don't back Pakistan to get out of their group. But
I do think there's something to be said about a home tournament.
They lose twice to New Zealand in the warm-ups. They'll probably go and beat them in the actual thing.
And that is very Pakistan. That is very Pakistan. And it is a home tournament. And sometimes it does count for something. So Max, what hat are they?
Well, yeah, that's what we're here for, isn't it? What hat are they? We teased, didn't we, on the last podcast, that maybe they're a sombrero. I've gone slightly different to the sombrero. I've gone for one of those umbrella hats. You know the ones?
No.
Well, it's basically it's a hat, and it's got a little umbrella type thing on the top. Usually bright colours to make you look ridiculous, because on the face of it is patently a ridiculous thing. You would never want to own it. It's nonsense. You look silly. You wouldn't wear it out of the house. It's embarrassing. But then suddenly, out of nowhere, you realise it pisses it down outside, and you're wearing it, and it's perfect. It's exactly what you needed all along. You didn't realise it, but you did want it, and it was perfect for the situation, and it's come up trumps. And that is what Pakistan are. On the face of it, they're a joke, and then when you least expect it, there it is, the perfect thing for the perfect time, and it chalks up a win. So that's Pakistan as a hat, and I'm fully expecting them not to get out of their group and watch them go win the toss in Dubai, knock out India in the group stage. Abar Ahmed takes 7th of 20, and everything goes to pot.
I can see some crash and burn in this team, I'm afraid to say.
I'm afraid that's you following logic, Jack, and logic just doesn't work with this Pakistan side.
No, it definitely doesn't. They picked there's 4 number 11s. And there'll be an all-rounder who probably can't.
Kasim Shah will be batting 8. Probably it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, with his career average of 7. And
Yeah.
it's
Scored 19 the other day. He's on the up.
You don't pick bowlers to bat, mate. It's fine. Look, they're following the Rajasthan Royals approach.
You got to pick some people to bat.
Six batters, 5 bowlers. Done.
Whack someone round the head.
Yeah.
Bring in a batter.
Look, you never know. You never know. The Pakistan clearly have some good players. That is. I'm not
That's
saying
in home conditions.
They can be dangerous, can't they? That's the. But
I think that they are. I reckon, Max. What I'm hearing you saying is that they are 3rd favourite in their group of 4.
Yes, that is precisely my thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Should we take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up this group with New Zealand
and then
Bangladesh. Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Cool. Back in a second.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast for our group. Well, our group stage review, our preview in general of the Champions Trophy. We're on Group A. We've done the big boys, at least in terms of eyeballs, India and Pakistan, but maybe not in terms of cricketing ability. Ross has got his hand up.
Spurs have won. Just gonna say
Spurs have won.
It's unbelievable. Tottenham Hotspur have won a game of football against Man United,
and that is why Pakistan could get out their group.
There we go.
Sorry, but Pakistan are Manchester United in this scenario. Do you not see that? Like that's not a shock, is it? Look, we've got 2 more teams. We've got New Zealand. We've got Bangladesh. I'm going to talk through New Zealand pretty quickly. Mitchell Santner is the captain now. Kane Williamson, he's still knocking around. Was the captain for, I'm going to say a decade. Maybe it was 2 decades. Maybe it was forever. Maybe he's always been the captain. Gary Stead is the coach, and everything I just said about Kane Williamson, you can apply to Gary Stead. I genuinely can't remember a time when this man wasn't the coach of New Zealand. And I still don't know if I could pick him out of a lineup. But that's good leadership, isn't it? You know, they do say about some styles of leadership anyway, that, you don't notice a good leader. And I think you can definitely say that New Zealand are a well-led side. So props to the Brains Trust over the recent little while. They've gone with the black kit. I always think it's a shame with New Zealand when they don't go for beige.
Yeah, the beige is good.
The turquoise was good at the other World Cup. That was good.
Yeah, that was
teal.
Like
proper, it was a teal.
Proper old school Kiwi black shirt.
Which is what you want when you're in quite hot countries, isn't it? Just wear all black. That's typically a good look.
You say this, Ross. But there's actually some evidence. People who are into the thermodynamics and physics. Apparently, if you wear all black, it can create a kind of convection current within the clothing that sucks in cool air. So the Bedouin tribes, for example, they wear all black, reside in the desert. And apparently there can be, it's a little bit of a wash, really, between wearing white clothing and dark clothing, because the dark clothing creates that current, the white clothing reflects a bit of heat. So maybe that's the secret.
Colour be educated, bloody hell.
But maybe that is the secret.
In other words, wear whatever the fuck you like. It makes no difference.
Yeah. Kiwis, they've got a pretty good team, I think. We've already talked about Williamson. He's pretty good. Devon Conway, Daryl Mitchell, Glenn Phillips. He does everything except sort of anything that I've ever remember being really good. But he does do everything, and that's fun.
Feels like a reliable set of dads that you just explained. That's what it kind of feels
they are.
like.
They're very reliable dads. They're a very reliable set of dads. On the bowling side, things are a little bit more shaky. I reckon, or maybe not more shaky, but I will say it's a little bit less proven. So this is probably the first tournament in a long time that New Zealand will have been going in without either Southey or Bolt, or the pair of them, the iconic pace duo. Which means that people have to step up. I think we're kind of expecting Matt Henry probably will. He's been a good bowler for quite a long time. Is he the number 1 Test rank bowler in the world? Or he's up near the top. He's not Bumrah, is he? So grain of salt.
He was in the World Test Championship team of the tournament, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So.
And probably fairly. And he's a good white ball bowler. Will O'Rourke, he'll be knocking around. Santner obviously bowls some overs. Michael Bracewell, he's back in the squad, and I think they're the kind of bowlers. I think they're the kind of bowlers that might actually be quite handy in Dubai for that trip over to play India, and I don't think they'll be bad in Pakistan. The problem, I suppose, in this area is that they may be lacking like a really, really good spinner. And they've got a few injury questions. So Ben Sears has already been ruled out. Lockie Ferguson has got a hamstring injury. He injured it in an ILT20 playoff game, I think, last week.
That's painful. You don't want that.
Oh, mate, yeah. Imagine going to the ILT20. You're only there for the bunts. How have you managed to pull your hamstring? It might not have even been a playoff game as well. It must have just been a game. If there's a trophy on the line, I sort of understand it a bit more. But Selavi and Rachin Ravindra, I think, got an injury in a warm-up game, and they're not sure whether he would be fit. Yeah. So there are a few questions there. But if it does all come together, I quite like this team. I think the injury questions are the reason that they're in that race, or that I wouldn't immediately say they're better than Pakistan, because I don't think they've got the depth to replace some of those guys. And you could definitely argue that the bowling is shaky, but they do normally put it together. They plan well. Like I'd never think New Zealand's bowling is that good, and then it is. It just always is. So I quite like them. Any thoughts, boys? I've told you all about New Zealand there. What's your favourite Kiwi?
The fruits. Yeah, the fruit's quite lovely.
Fruit, not the bird.
I think
legend Nathan Smith.
I actually quite like them as the dark horses of this, Jack. I actually think they are.
Can you be a dark horse in an 8-team comp?
Well, all right. I think they're going to be the fellow finalists with India.
Okay,
actually. So I think the fact that they play India in the knockouts in the group stage means they get to miss them in the semi-finals, which is obviously a big thing. I mean, they do have a good record against India in the semi-finals, so India fans might be happy with that. I do think they've got a couple of India destroyers as well. Will O'Rourke caused them all kinds of bother last time, so I think that game in Dubai is going to be absolutely massive, and I think they're going in with their confidence high, right? I know some people turn around and be like, oh well, tri-series, only kind of glorified friendlies. I think they're going to take an awful lot from that, and the fact that they've kind of got their bowling unit together is really important. It's just going to come down to those injuries, Jack, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think if you want upside on the betting stakes, New Zealand is 100% the way to go. They're the ones with the most upside. I think they feel to me like the inverse of Pakistan. Like you look at that squad, and it's just names that you recognise in New Zealand squads year after year. They're so consistent, and there are a couple of new names in there because of obviously, as you mentioned, Saudi and Bolt not being around, retiring, and they have to find fresh faces. But apart from that, it's all names that you've seen from New Zealand squads in the last 3-4 international tournaments, and they always perform. They're just consistently good, functional. Yeah. They're a functional side, and they're always successful in some way.
Yeah, they can play spin as well. That's also part. I look at a couple of these teams. I'm not so sure how good they are against spin. New Zealand are actually pretty good at that as well. So yeah, I'm a big buyer right now.
Okay, well, 7-1 with the markets. If they're a hat, I've gone for a Homburg hat, which
you might need to describe that to us, Jack.
It is a bit niche. It's kind of like a cross between a fedora and a bowler hat, and I think that lands.
Homburg. Oh, yeah. It's like Oppenheimer's hat.
A little bit like Oppenheimer's hat. I think that might be a tribute.
But
so it's not quite full formal, as you know, the Kiwis, they're not quite full formal, are they? It's not a bowler hat, but it's not like Pete Doherty after a night out with your trilby or your fedora either. It's got a little bit more class than that. Dapper, quite understated, sort of hat that a politician would have worn in the 50s.
It makes me think Private Detective.
We've got an element of Private Detective. I think it's a bit too formal for Private Detective. I think if you saw a Private Detective in that, you'd notice them. Certainly these days.
Not a current Private Detective.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Maybe.
It's certainly a little bit film noir.
1950s.
It's a little bit film noir. So that's New Zealand. Who's doing Bangladesh? Let's blast through the rest.
I've got Bangladesh.
As the honour.
I'm going to start with the best thing about Bangladesh. Their kit is fucking lit. no joke about it. It's got flames up the arms.
Lit
It is.
on dash.
It is excellent. It's got red flames up the side, dark green with a bit of with a gold edging. It is absolutely delightful, and it's got a bit of gold going on down here, a bit of a pattern. So yeah, if you've got in the kit races, it is definitely up there. I think with South Africa's, which we'll come on to a little bit later. Form-wise, they are rubbish. They've won 3 out of their last 9 games in 2024. They've lost to the West Indies and Afghanistan in their recent bilateral series, and they start the tournament off against India in Dubai. So it couldn't get any tougher for them. They have not got Shakib Al Hassan. They have not got Lytton Das, but Max. And you'll be happy to know here. The Fizz is playing, one of your CSK stalwarts, longer at CSK.
Yeah, he's a good player, man. He's a good player.
Really is a good player. I think pace-wise, they are better than they are spin-wise, which is a bit different to what I'd normally picture Bangladesh as a team. But they've got Taskin Ahmed, Nahid Rana. They've got Tanzin Hassan as also in the lineup, and I think that pace battery is actually quite useful. And so, coming on to one of the points earlier around actually in Pakistan, pace has been the way to go. It's kind of coming up okay for them. The issue is, are they going to be able to hit more than 300 runs? That is the big part for me.
It's the
in the tournament
every time, isn't it? With Bangladesh?
Cumulatively in the tournament, yeah. It is, yeah. There's got Matt Abdullah's there, so he's always good for a gritty 40.
Is he 50 yet?
Yeah, this might be. He like Jack was saying around the New Zealand coach earlier, and Kane Williamson. Matt Abdullah's been around forever. Like he was around when the pyramids were built. Like that's how long he's been there. But
the Aztec ones.
Yeah. But overall, you can't be a big buyer of the batting here. Unfortunately, Shanto is woefully out of form as well. He's their best player. Lytton Das not being selected is a bit of a weird one.
I don't think he's very good. I don't think that's a bad decision.
I think Lytton Das is a good player. But Tanzid Hassan and Sarkar are probably going to open up. Hidroy and Mushtafakir. Raheem will wicket keep and bat in the middle order. Mehdi Hassan is the most interesting player for this team. I think he's got really has something about him. He can bat. He's a good spin bowler, and so a lot is going to rest on how well he does. But again, is he going to bat at 7 or is he going to try and boost up the order a little bit as he's done so before? So yeah, a lot resting on them probably bowling first, trying to get somebody out cheaply and then being able to take it down. But I would be surprised if they win the toss and then bat first, because they are silly sometimes, Bangladesh. They do not help themselves. They are awful fielders. Like their record in the field over the last couple of years is dreadful. So when it comes to their chances, they are 4th favourites in Group A. They are
8th favourites in the tournament.
They are there to make up the numbers, unfortunately. And I'm sorry, Bangladesh fans who are listening, but it is an uphill battle. But we'll be cheering you on. It's always nice to get on the bandwagon, and that's what we want from this time. Hat-wise, gents. Oh yeah, Jack
has an
I was going
interject.
to say, they're 100 to 1, or you can get them
In an
125 to 1 to
they're
win this
100
tournament.
to 1.
That's got to be worth £1. Like, there's got to be some chain of events that leads to Bangladesh winning this. Like, they cannot have a 1% chance of winning an 8-team tournament.
I think you'll
That's
find
just
Jack,
not right.
they can.
Like the thing that everyone would have to have like the tournament of their lifetimes. That would be like full like Leicester. That's what it would have to be here. I think they're a bit of a joke, however. So therefore, to me, they are a jester hat with different bits coming all over them because they are, and with some bells on the end of it. It might be a bit disrespectful because they are professional cricketers, but Bangladesh, when we were growing up following cricket, there was always this hope and this potential to kind of go through and make it to the next level, and they've squandered that. They have absolutely squandered that, and there's no one in this team from a batting perspective that fills me with any joy whatsoever. So, here we are. Can their bowlers lead them to an unlikely victory or two? But it's a long uphill struggle in Dubai and Rawalpindi.
Yeah, they're crap. I think there's a good thing about Bangladesh though. They're a good test case for like the idea of growing cricket. Like the fact that they've never got better from being quite bad, or like got marginally better from being quite bad, but they turn up at every tournament, they make up the numbers, like wear a good kit every now and then. The 2019 World Cup, they had a couple of moments, didn't they? Like they're a great example of a small team doing well enough to deserve an invite to these tournaments, and playing cricket that's good enough that it isn't completely embarrassing, and they should be a beacon for teams like the Netherlands and USA.
A beacon of media.
Like they show you there is a place for mediocrity at the top table, and that's all right. They like Crystal Palace. The Charltons of the world can look up to them.
I would quite like to see that Venn diagram of Bangladesh fans and Crystal Palace fans. That'd be interesting. Anyway, that is Group A. So, gents, it sounds to me as if India and New Zealand are favourites as 1 and 2. Pakistan could do whatever the hell they want to do. They're third, and Bangladesh are going to be lucky if they hit over 250 runs in a game.
Yeah, I think that's probably about fair. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a minute to talk through Group B. England, Australia, South Africa, Afghanistan. That's a pretty good group. I think that's the group of interest. The group of death. Yeah, I agree. We're back in a moment.